60% of a good tattoo, or 50%, is all about composition and preparation. A rule that's very important is what I call the 70-30 rule. And this rule basically means that from every image that you see, there must be a main composition that's 70% of the whole image, and things like backgrounds or secondary stuff cannot be more than 30%. We've all seen this kind of sleeve full of things, and you cannot tell what it is until you get close. Then you go up close to the sleeve, and it makes sense, but the whole thing doesn't match. And it's because your brain actually needs to focus in something from a distance until you can get closer and follow a path of different images. So this is very simple. Like if you have like a skull and a rose, if they have the same size and they're one above the other, your brain, when they at first glance looks at it, won't be able to know which one is more important, so they will mount. So you need to create one image with them. Like that's why you put the rose above the skull, or vice versa. You make one image out of both of them. If not, you need to make the skull smaller, the rose bigger. So it means that one needs to be taking up 70% of the space. So anyway, that could be even for a sleeve. Let's say you have like a sleeve and you want to create like statues. Well, you will need a statue that starts here and finishes here. Doesn't mean that you can add smaller statues around it, make a composition, like that's fine. But when you do that, the moment the person walks in the room, you see a clear image of the design because of your focal point, and then you can see the rest. So that for me is very important, that helps me a lot. Then other rules, well, this is more that I follow for composition, is when I finish my design, especially with color designs, I will put it in black and gray, and I will check that I'm following the 1/3 rule. My 1/3 rule is that I have 1/3 black tones, 1/3 middle tones, 1/3 light tones. If when I get my color tattoo and I put it in black and gray, I have this 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 of the light on the composition, I know that it will be three-dimensional. You will have volume, you will have a clear view of the whole design. In other words, if you have 2/3 of black, it's going to be too dark. If you have 2/3 of light tones, it's going to be flat. Okay, it will be okay if that's what you're looking for, but if you're looking for realism and volume, it helps a lot to follow this rule. You can also have the colors, the color rule. For example, these are just helpful. You can play with them. You don't always need to follow them. For me, the color rule means that if you want, for example, a face to be powerful, the colors that you choose for the background should be the opposite tonality. What I mean is that when you look at the wheel of color, you get opposite colors in the wheel of color. For example, the face is in warm tones, the background should be in cold tones. That will push the face out. If you have a face in warm tones and the background is fire, that face won't be so powerful as if you have the other way around. So it's kind of things that you play with. You know, the warmth, the tonality. If you put a purple beside a yellow, they're going to be super powerful. That's actually why a lot of the police lights, you know, and the sirens, they are blue and red together. Why? Because opposite colors together are more powerful than similar colors together. And of course, to think of all these things for composition, you need time and preparation. So if you're going to do the design an hour, 2 hours before the tattoo, won't work. So color realism technique. Well, I tattoo by layers. What I mean by layers, the simplest way to explain it, if you know a bit about painting, is painting in acrylic or painting oil. So basically, if you paint in acrylic, you're more like a printer. You go doing the right color or as close as possible to the right color. And in oil painting, you will do like a blurred layer of the whole thing. Let's say you do with sienna tones, Then when the oil dries, you do another layer with pink tones, then you do another layer with gray tones. Well, it's not exactly that order, but you get the idea. You go building the piece, kind of like when you get out of the shower and the mirror is all blurry, and slowly it becomes more clear. It becomes more saturated, more detailed. So that's how I work by layers. So it's a different way. It's more, it helps me be more creative and more relaxed. So the way I do it is I'll first do like my main like structure, which is mostly the like blacks, like or put a bit of the stencil in there, like do some small marks for the lips, nose, eyes, all those things that I could lose. And then I will just go and try to do all the middle tones. And then over the middle tones, work the black tones over them. If you have ever done watercolor, you'll get a light color mixed with water, and you will make a light tone over the paper, and then you go making darker tones over it. So it's the same idea. That way you can go building up the piece, and everything is unified because everything is in the same tonalities. And you can go creating and changing stuff as you go. What I mean by changing is because nothing is finished. When you go tattooing like a printer, what you are doing is mostly finished, done. When you're doing by layers, nothing is fully saturated, so the skin has more space for ink. So it means that you can create a light layer of whatever tonality you want, and if it's too red or too blue, then you can do a light layer of a different tonality and change the whole color, and you can go building it up as you go. So that's how I work by layers. And this especially, like something I've been doing the last maybe only 2 years, which is a big game changer, is try to get people to get the first layers done, and then instead of doing like maybe 5 layers in one tattoo, just wait till it heals, come back and do the following layers. This actually allows me to do a lot of new stuff. For example, if I mix a red and a green, you know, in the tattoo by layers, in the same sitting, I will get like a brown or a dirty color, but they will mix those two colors. But if I do, for example, a layer of red, wait till it heals, comes back, and I do a layer of green water that's watered down, I will actually have like a semi-transparent layer of green over the red. So you can create like different things, you know. I mainly don't do it for that reason, but that's just, it actually changes the tattoo process that you wait till it heals. Over the last 16, 17 years, I've changed many times, and I've tried out, and I've gotten better and better at it. So initially, I actually did the design the same day. I thought it was like, look, I like to sit down with the client, we design it together, and it sounds good, but there's a lot of pressure, and there's not really time for changes. Then for the following years, I was designing the night before. So the problem if you design the night before, and when he comes in the next morning, if he doesn't like it, or if there's any changes, you're going to feel a lot of pressure. So I've worked like that for years, and many tattoo artists tell me that that's the way to work, you know, because what happens if you start the design months before? The clients then will keep, after they approve a design, they will keep asking for changes. So that's last way is actually have been working for the last 2-3 years, and it really changed my life for the good. Set up appointments. Set up an appointment for speaking with the client, set up an appointment for showing him the design before you started that design. So I still leave it to last minute, but I have the appointment to show him the design. The difference with this appointment to show him the design is that it's months in advance. So if I don't make it, I'll say, okay, let's reschedule for next week. And that will be okay. And the other thing that many people are hearing, are thinking when they hear this is like, okay, yeah, but I cannot be having so many meetings in my calendar. I'm tattooing for 10 hours a day, you know? So I use Skype, you can use Zoom, it's the best way. It's even better than in person because I take a break, I connect with the person. First I have an interview, where they tell me everything they want. Then in that same interview, I set up an appointment for showing them the design. And the cool thing is that because it's months in advance, usually my first design is a lot what I think would make a really amazing, badass tattoo. You know, and I know there's like a 60% chance he will say no. You know, but I don't care because it's months. So if they say no, it's all chill. It's not like in the same day of tattooing. It's like, okay, let's meet in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks. And I will still do the design that same day, in 3 weeks. But it's such a relaxed process. And whenever I'm going to tattoo, I know exactly what I'm doing. It's all approved. And designs actually come out better. Those are tips that help me a lot. Design with time, listen to the client, ask questions, know what they really desire, not just what they want. Take your time designing. Now I'm actually in New York, but I'm moving to Austin, Texas, like a lot of people I'm seeing lately. And so they can follow me in Austin, Texas. And my Instagram is Charles Huurman, and the website is Charles Huurman TX.